Okay, in our lesson today, we're going to start talking about scale factor and dilations. And so the first thing I want you to look at is it says that scale factor is a ratio of the corresponding sides in a figure. So remember, yesterday we talked about corresponding sides. A ratio just means a fraction. And what I want you to see right here is it said we write our scale factor, the new image over the original image, or the image over the pre-image, and that's really, really important. Sometimes I like to say the new image over the old image. And think about this. Wouldn't you rather have a new cell phone over an old phone? No matter what kind of cell phone you have, isn't it better to have the new one than the older one? Usually, okay, not always. We could argue that, but that might be a way for you to remember that. Now, if our scale factor is greater than 1, then it's going to enlarge our figure. Okay, think of 1 as being 100%. 1 is just what the pre-image looks like. But anything greater than 1 is going to make our figure bigger. It's going to enlarge it. If our scale factor is less than 1, then it's going to reduce the figure. So if we're going smaller than 100% or 1, we're going to reduce the figure. A dilation, so that's our next word that we need to see there. A dilation is a transformation that either enlarges or reduces the size of the figure, the size of the original figure. The biggest example of a dilation is with your eyes. Okay, with our eyes, our pupils dilate, and that actually means they get smaller or they get bigger. Okay, so think about that. To dilate a figure, all we have to do, it's actually really, really easy, is multiply by the scale factor. We have to take our side lengths, take our ordered pairs, multiply by the side length. Okay, so let's look at these examples together. It says dilate each rectangle by the given scale factor, record the new dimensions. So if I gave you this figure as your pre-image and I told you that your scale factor is 2/5, then all we have to do is multiply each of these dimensions by 2/5 and we will get the new dimensions. Now notice our scale factor is 2/5. So that means that's less than 1. So that means that we're going to reduce our figure. I want you to keep that in mind. So if we're reducing, then our dimensions should get smaller, right? So if I say 35 times 2/5, you can use your calculator, you can multiply like fractions, we should get 14 inches. And if I say 15 times 2/5, we should get 6 inches. So our new dimensions are 6 inches by 14 inches. So you can see that, yes, we did reduce our figure. And so that's a good way to check yourself. Okay, the next example. Our scale factor is 3.5. Okay, so hopefully you see that and you immediately think, okay, we're going to enlarge our figure. So all you have to do is take each of your dimensions and multiply them by 3.5, and that will give you your new dimensions. I want you to do those calculations yourself and write them down. Okay, and number 7, our scale factor is 5/3. Now be really careful with this because notice this is an improper fraction. So this number 5/3, that's really 1 2/3, right? So that's greater than 1, This is going to be an enlargement. So that sometimes they try to trick us with improper fractions. So we are enlarging. We are getting bigger. Okay, so again, I want you to take each of the dimensions and multiply the dimensions by our scale factor. And I want you to do the calculating and write down your dimensions. So I'll be checking when you're finished to see that you have written these numbers down. Okay, in number 8, we're working a little bit differently. Now in number 8, it wants us to find the scale factor that we used to create it. So going back to the top, remember that when we write scale factor, we always want to put the new image over the original or pre-image. So I need to do the new over the old, okay? So remember, we have to look at our markings to know this is our pre-image or our old. This is our new image or our image. So we can take any pair of corresponding sides, HG, H prime, G prime. So new over the old, we could say 10 over 8. And then we need to reduce that. 2 will go into both of those. So that would be 5/4 for our scale factor. Now let's check it with different sides. If I do GI and G prime, I prime, again, new over old, 15 over 12. That reduces by 3. That still equals 5/4. The other thing I want you to note, another way to check yourself, is we went from here to here. And what happened to our figure? It got bigger, right? It enlarged. So that means our scale factor should be greater than 1. Is my scale factor greater than 1? It is. This is another improper fraction. That's really 1 1/4. That is bigger than 1, so that's a way to check ourselves to make sure we did it right. Okay, and then the last one, number 9. Notice here is the pre-image. They don't always put the pre-image on the left. So we've got to pay attention to our markings. This is our new image or our image. So we're going from pre to new. We're getting smaller, so we're reducing. So that means when we write our scale factor, it should be less than 1. So I want you to take a minute and see if you can write your scale factors for this one. Remember to put the new corresponding side over the old corresponding side. So you answer that and then raise your hand to have it checked.